So as you were saying?
Yes, as I was saying, counter steering is something that you mentally can't quite understand until you physically do it, and then it all just falls into place. You understand what goes where, you get a feel of the bike a lot more.
Obviously the bike's been modified because you've only got what, your right arm, your left arm.
Which wasn't a bike accident.
No, no, it's just the way you are.
That's right.
All right, and obviously the bike's been modified, so we've got brake and clutch on the one side, everything on the one side.
Clutch, front brake.
Throttle's as it is, and you've got your indicators on the right hand side as well. Any problems getting hold of all that?
No.
Excellent, fine.
Absolutely fine, no problems at all. Just a case of a couple of phone calls and away we were.
Lovely. Right, so you're going to take your test on Friday. You're going to go out on the road in the next sort of 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
And explore what's going on out there. And then we'll talk to you later on.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Tell us what you think about being out on the road for the first time. Need to know.
Really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Wasn't as bad as expecting. Although the things I was more concerned about were actually a lot easier than the ones that I wasn't concerned about. So it was vice versa. Riding on the road was absolutely fine. Just made a few little silly mistakes. And a few little positioning errors, which weren't major, but they were enough for me to actually come back to Mallory and practice on. Apart from that, it was good. And the whole situation, because I was quite nervous a few days prior to coming to do my my whole bike initial start up here. I was quite nervous at first, so getting to the last sort of 48 hours and thinking, is this really for me? Is this sort of thing I should be doing? And now it's sort of, I'm 2.5 days into it, and it feels like a doddle. It feels like nothing. It's just a case of just being sensible, taking on board what you guys are teaching, and like Dave quite rightly said, it's all about planning. And once you've planned it, everything else sort of falls into place.
Yes. Yes.
And I've done plenty of planning whilst I've been on the bike and getting off the bike, even just down to putting it on your stand. Plenty of forward thinking of what you're doing, and nothing can really go wrong.
No. You take your time with it, and again on test, under the pressure of test, remind yourself, take an extra couple of seconds to just compose yourself and get things right.
Yeah, the only thing that's gone wrong today really is the fact that we come back, Dave was here before us and the kettle went on.
Good point.
Bollocks. Oh, we can edit that out.
What are you going to say about that then, eh?
I'm sent out for tea and coffee.
Okay, Steve, you're 4 days in now, testing tomorrow. How are you getting on?
Absolutely fine, no problems. Feel very positive about it. Had a good run out on the road today. Led the way on the way out, followed on the way back. On the way back I felt 100 times more confident than I did on the way, even though I only made a couple of small minor errors on when I was leading. But when I was following on the way back, I felt 100% confident. I actually got back to the test stand and felt like I've been riding for 6 months.
Excellent,
yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, it felt great.
So the amount of preparation we've done on the racetrack over the first 2 days, did that pay dividends for when you did go out on the road?
Definitely, especially for cornering, because cornering, you go out on the road, a corner's completely different to a corner on a track.
Yeah.
But it's still the same element of how much you move the bike and how much you counter steer and how much you lean into it and stuff. It all is the same aspect of cornering, just obviously different views around you and different ways of looking. But yeah, definitely helps a lot more to actually learn on a track as well as out on the road. I'd say definitely obviously the track first, obviously, because that's obviously a nice way to learn. But no, all my you guys have been great. You've given me absolute 100% confidence every day that I've come in, and you've made me feel, don't worry about it if you do make a mistake, get on with it and just learn from the next time round. So obviously when we did go out on the road and there's something we're not sure about, you're good to go back to that position or that island or that junction, and we went through it again and I didn't make that mistake again, and then it sort of sits with you then, because obviously the test is important and obviously everything's in the back of your mind and eventually sort of sticks, and that's it, you know where you are.
Good.
But no, yeah, thoroughly enjoying it and looking forward to tomorrow now. I can actually safely say I can go home knowing that I feel ready.
Yeah.
And I can say I probably felt ready from about 2:30 or 3 o'clock this afternoon.
That's exactly what we say, isn't it? 3 o'clock the day before test, you should think, stand a chance.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent, right. Obviously your situation, you've only got one working arm.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's have a quick look. Right, just to show people, how difficult is the swerve test, the hazard avoidance test, that you've been practicing all week on the racetrack?
Well, honest opinion is, I actually found the hazard swerve test easier than the slalom. Believe it or not, you know, when it should be the other way around. But I actually felt riding down the track and then swerving at the last minute between the cones, I felt an absolute doddle, no problem at all. The whole aspect of being on the track, the idea is to learn how to swerve and to look around tight bends or long sweeping bends, whatever it may be at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely no problems at all. I don't think I've knocked a cone over yet.
No.
In the 3 days I've been here.
And how fast have you been going through the hazard avoidance?
I think it was, what was it, Dave?
65.
66, wasn't it? I think 66.
66 kilometres per hour is your best.
Not
No,
go 1
not
kilometre.
one off.
Yeah. 65, 66 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was sort of obviously told that, you know, you don't have to go that speed. As long as you go over 50 kilometres, that's fine. So then they varied, then, didn't they, Dave, between 52, 54, 56 was different, but I don't think I've been under, have I? Did I do one that was under? Was it 48 or something? I did with you.
First one yesterday, 48.
First one yesterday, 48, yeah.
But you get 2 attempts at the speed, remember that, you know, so use it. There's a lot of national debate on whether this swerve test or hazard avoidance test should be included in the motorcycle practical test.
Definitely 100%. I think you should. I think it helps in a big way.
Right. Why? Why is that?
Well, I just think you get to feel of the bike more. You know, if you didn't have that hazard swerve test, you know, I think that's the sort of thing that would catch you out on a road. You know, where you'd have to, you know, you come to a bend that you've never been around before in your life, and it turns out to be a real sharp S bend, or you know, something happens, you know, and it's a hazard to you. I think if you haven't learned how to sort of throw it over from one side to another. That's a good thing about you setting up the track yesterday, was obviously you got both attempts at doing it. You know, you got a right hand swerve and a left hand swerve, and so on and so on. And I think having the option of doing both and getting to grips with it both sides is brilliant, definitely.
There's a lot of people in the industry and some in the press saying it's far too difficult for learners to do. Would you agree with that?
No, I totally disagree actually. Like I said to you, I think it was actually the easiest thing I did. I mean, you guys make everything from 10 minutes of being here to the last minute you leave circuit based training. I think, you know, you make it quite clear what you've got to do prior to actually doing it. So if you just listen and plan, like you guys have been saying from day one, if you listen and plan and think about what you're doing and relax at the same time, everything falls together like a jigsaw. It's great. Alright,
so even with one arm, as long as you've been taught how to counter steer, you don't think there's a problem with the theory, with the practical side of swerving and the hazard avoidance?
No.
Fine.
No. And I'll definitely be returning, hopefully if I pass tomorrow, I'll definitely be returning to the advanced cornering anyway, because why the hell not?
Yeah.
You know, nobody's perfect at motorbiking unless you're some kind of professional racer, and even them come off, but you know, I think to this day I definitely will commit to coming back, especially with a discounted rate as well, once you've passed your test, of coming back and doing the advanced cornering. I think it's definitely a bonus, you know, regardless of how you want to ride once you've got that certificate. I think just having it in the back of your head, it's like, you know, you might not ever have to swerve in the short time you ride your bike. It depends how much you ride it, whether you commute, whether it's a weekend sort of bike thing or whatever. I think if you ever actually needed to have that swerve ability, knowing that you've done it and you went back and did it, you know, and I've only got to ask you, if I said to you now, can I go and practice swerve again, it's not a problem to set a few cones out and do it.
Yeah, it's fine.
You know, nothing's a problem and everything's fully explained.
I must admit, the way I look at the swerve test is, I mean, I'm a dad, you've got a young son, how old is he?
Yeah, 2.5.
So if he ran out in the middle of the road in front of a motorcyclist, the way I look at it is, I'd like that motorcyclist to be able to bloody swerve and not hit him.
Definitely. And to be able to swerve and do that, you definitely need to practice at doing it like on a track.
Fine.
So I definitely recommend that if you are, anybody out there, are looking to learn to take a bike test, whether it be your CBT or whether it be the full motorcycle licence, this is the place to come for sure, definitely. And the tea's good if Dave makes it.
Excellent. So very quickly, just thinking back over the last few days, How did you feel on Monday, and how would you sum up Monday in one sentence?
Monday was, I never got here till just after lunchtime because I had my theory in the morning. I had a lot of sort of pressure on my shoulders on the Monday because I wasn't sure how the theory was going to be, although I did practice quite a lot for it. Thankfully I passed it. I wasn't sure what was going to happen on the Monday, but I came in, listened to what I was being told, got to grips with the bike, did some very basic things and learnt the feel of a weight of a bike and how to sort of operate it and what to do first and how your stand works and so on. Fine, but I went home shattered thinking, blimey, this is this is like the start of it and there's so much to take on board, but very well explained by yourselves. And like I say, every day I sort of actually really looked forward to driving here from Rugby, which is a good half an hour drive, but I looked forward to coming here because I knew that there was another thing to learn. Everything about being here is just learning.
Right, so what about Tuesday? Without waffling, what about Tuesday?
Tuesday was okay. A lot more classroom work, which was good. Very well explained again on the board. And yeah, just everything about the whole week so far has been great.
And plenty of time on the track on Tuesday.
Plenty of time on the track on Tuesday. Yeah, lots of time on the track. Yeah, lots of practicing your U-turns and emergency stops.
Did you do a pillion ride on the racetrack on the Blackbird?
Yes, did a pillion ride. Yeah, with Dave. Yeah, had to change my leathers when I got back, but yeah,
right.
Did a pillion.
that clarified a few things, did it?
That clarified a few things. Made you realise how much you can actually lean and how much it will work if you just counter steer around the bends and what sort of angles to take and look at your apex and look at your exit and look at how it all works and it all comes together. It did help having a pillion ride, I must admit. Because
again, there's a lot of controversy in the industry saying you shouldn't be pillion riding any clients. We totally disagree with that because we know it benefits.
Yeah, you need to sort of, because if you are nervous on the bike and you sort of come into a long sweeping bend like you are on the track there, at the end of the day, it's like, how can you know what your limits are until someone's made you realise that, look at what we can do with you on the back. And it's not dangerous riding. This is saying, look, don't be so frightened to hit the apex and
showing you the right techniques.
Showing the right techniques, basically, yeah. And obviously, when I came back and then we all went out together, I felt a lot more confident about what lines to take, how much I could lean into the corners, and came out successfully. So each time I had a successful corner, you just make that element of feeling much better about how to ride a bike.
Excellent. All right, how would you sum up the course in, I don't know, 5 words?
How would you sum up the course? I'd say the whole thing is action-packed. Definitely, I can't say it in 5 words, but definitely worth coming to. I'd recommend definitely coming to a circuit-based training. 100%. I mean, I did some research prior to coming to see yourselves, and then I rang you up and explained the situation about my arm, and yet you made me feel, even on the phone with that before I even met you, you made me feel like, this is doable, it's going to be a challenge, but let's do it and see how we get on. And yet nothing has really been a challenge. It's just sort of come to me, no problem at all, through expertise, instruction, and like I say, it's fine, absolutely fine. Definitely recommend doing circuit-based training, prior to actually doing, anything on the road.
Yeah,
definitely.
Excellent, lovely. Well, best of luck with tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
And hold your nerve.
Yeah, we'll do.
And we'll speak to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Easy peasy. Do the swerve test.
I'll turn it off now.
We'll do the
Everyone's holding their fart. Yeah.
Yeah.